What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and welcome back for the fan show, or the post-match fan show, in a game where Spurs have drawn with Nice of France. 1-0 we went up thanks to Matt Doherty, the informed striker at the moment. And Nice scored straight after the second half. And obviously I got to watch it with my good friend Stelios. How are you doing still?
Yeah, I'm all right. Good to watch a bit of non-World Cup football.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it. Okay,
No,
so
that's as good as you get.
So before we start bringing the guests on, remember this is your chance to have your say. You will find the link if you are a member of the channel. Go to the community section, and the link will be posted there. But just starting the fan show, how we started the watch along. Obviously, there is a member of the Spurs community who always calls in on We Are Tottenham TV and other channels by the name of Wes the King. Unfortunately, he's going through a bit of a torrid time at the moment and needs some help. So Vinny will be pinning a link to a GoFundMe page where you can read about his story, and if obviously times are tough right now, you can make any kind of contribution to help out Wes the King. It will be greatly appreciated. So the link will be pinned by Vinny, and like I said, this is the fan show, the time to have your say. And we'll bring on the first guest, Stel, and it's a very good friend of the channel and mine and yours. It's George. How are we doing, George, my man?
All good, guys. How are you guys?
All good.
Yeah, good, George. Good to see you.
So obviously we were just talking backstage, and you got to see a bit of the game. What were your thoughts, George?
Sorry, Brian. 1 second, George. Sorry, Vinny. I can hear the other guest as well.
There we go.
That's it.
There
Great.
we go.
Cheers.
So George, what were your thoughts of the game?
Initially disappointed that Jed Spence wasn't on the team sheet, but I understand that he was ill with some sort of a bug. So hopefully that is the case, and there's not anything more sinister going on in the background. But I mean, look, it was okay for what it was. I guess my main reflections were that Matt Doherty was obviously quite sort of prominent in the game, as he's been with the other two friendlies as well. So things are looking bright for him. I was quite pleasantly surprised with Matassar as well, actually. He looked really fluid around the pitch, looked quite at home in that environment. So I've just got my fingers crossed that he's someone who can sort of grow into the squad, fingers crossed. Sanchez was Sanchez.
Yep.
You know, it's. I think the more and more I see him, the more and more disappointed I get, considering the start that he had at the club. But yeah, look, it was a run out. We got to see a bit of Sonny, reintroducing them into the squad and onto the first team. Kulu had a decent showing, I guess. I think he play the full 90 minutes. Actually, I don't recall.
He went off it near the end. I think he came on for my boy Alfie. He didn't see out the 90 minutes. He was a late sub.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good to see some of the youngsters mixed in there, and as I said, fingers crossed that we see some of them growing into the squad and making a bit of an impact.
Did any of the young players impress you enough to deserve being in the starting? Well, not the starting, but the 16-man squad for Brentford.
No, not for Brentford. Not for Brentford. I think the boy White I've seen a few times. I think he had a half decent start to the game, but then sort of petered out. I was really hoping that he would sort of at least get a shot on target, just something to give him a bit more confidence. He had that sort of flash shot across Schmeichel that sort of I think he was a bit surprised to get the ball in that area by, you know, from what I remember. But no, I don't really see anybody kind of breaking through. That's sort of why I was really hoping to see Jed Spence tonight, and you know, trying to get him more involved. I don't think you can take too much away from that game, to be perfectly honest, other than just getting a few minutes on the pitch for some of the players who were injured pre pre-World Cup. You know, like getting more minutes in for Kulu, getting some, you know, his Sonny's boots back on as well. Get Højbjerg more involved. You know what? I think it's just a reintegration exercise. I'm still a bit concerned that we're lacking that creativity really in midfield. Bissouma for me still hasn't quite done it. I don't think he's hitting the heights I expected with all the anticipation of him joining the club. I'm still needing to see a creative midfield player, just someone who's going to make things happen in there. We don't quite seem to have a player like that. Brian Hill, I think, you know, had a decent showing, but again, I sometimes feel that he gets the ball and he just, you know, he wants to do what comes naturally, and that's run at players instead of trying to link up the play.
Yep.
But maybe, you know, again, that it's got to be a case of time and trying to build up that upper body strength to be able to compete with some of these bigger players.
So George, on that as well, let's break this down. Obviously, the first half display, second half. Was you surprised to see that the high press was working, the pressure was working? We were moving the ball a lot more freely than we normally do. Like when it comes to the first team, it was like night and day to what first half performances normally are. And it shows we can do it. Obviously, it wasn't the starting 11, but I really enjoyed what we were doing in that first half.
Yeah, I think we certainly looked the more accomplished side in the first half. I just find that final ball in the last third is just lacking, and it's almost like a dysfunction within that central midfield position, in that we don't seem to have anybody who, if they do put their foot on the ball, can ping it into a dangerous position. I think we can do that. I think we can pass the ball around. I think we can look good doing it. But it's a case of, if you then don't do anything with it, you're only giving the other team confidence to run at you, because there's only so long that you can do that for, and a team be concerned. And then when they see that you're not getting anywhere, they're just going to run at you and give you problems. And you know, I think that's. I didn't see anything there really that said to me that we could do that for a whole 90 minutes and be dangerous doing it, although it did look good.
George, I've got a question for you. So the news coming out of Spurs this week, and everything should be taken with a pinch of salt with these journalists, in my opinion, whether people think they're highly credible or not. The contract negotiations with Conte are now being described as less optimistic. And the reports are there's not a lot of money available to spend in January. I said at the start of the season that I believe the outcome of the Premier League will all depend on what happens in January. And I think Spurs will be in the mix going into the World Cup, which is what happened. We're in the top four. And for me, it's crunch time now. Not in the summer, now. Because Newcastle are on the up. Man United, Arsenal are on the up. We need to act now. Minimum guarantee top four again, and at least give it a real go at trying to win trophies. So if we don't do something this window, I think we're going to be left behind by the competition. And once injuries and fatigue kick in, it could cause us problems. Well, it's going to cause us problems with rotation. So that all said, Conte not signing a contract going into the January transfer window, why on earth are the club going to go and invest in players to support the team in January if they don't know that the manager has committed to the players that they're going to bring in January for the longer term? And likewise, why should Conte commit to a contract unless, as we've heard many times, he needs those assurances? So it's almost like they're both waiting to see who goes first. But whilst they're both waiting to see who goes first, nothing's getting done, which I believe will impact our transfer window quite considerably and not necessarily in the right direction. So What's your take on all of that, George? Where are you at as a fan?
I just have to say before you answer that, George, congratulations on the world's longest question. You have broken the records. There are records being broken today. Sorry, George, just had to state that. Over to you, my friend.
Listen, I actually thought that it was very eloquently put, Brian.
Thank you, George.
I'm not denying anything that he said wasn't brilliant, but man, that was a long question.
Listen, okay. Firstly, if you predicted that at the beginning of the season, then hats off to you, because it was a difficult one with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Where it was, and the answer to the question is yes. It is absolutely, totally pivotal, and yet again, this fantastic board that we've got have managed to create a chicken and egg situation where it's like a Mexican standoff, you know, and it's just crazy that we just seem to be always hitting the self-destruct button, because it's not a healthy place to be, is it? When you're having a Mexican standoff between the board and the manager, it seems to be every single managerial appointment that you've got. Am I overly surprised? Do you know what? This time I actually am, because I thought that, you know, you can only be so stupid. You know, and to bring in a world-class manager like Conte, who has obviously made an impact, and then you have a look and you say to yourself, look, every fan walking into the stadium has to admit that our squad is just not quite deep enough to compete up there and make top four this season. You've got Arsenal, who have got a very young squad and who are running riot at the moment. I'm not saying they're going to win the league, but I'm pretty sure that they are. I think they're slightly beyond us in the odds to make top four.
Well, they've improved. They've improved on last season, haven't they, George? So far,
for sure.
Well, I think they've not only have they improved. I mean, I think that they are playing with a
swagger,
with the flair and the swagger that wasn't quite there last season. You could tell last season that they lacked that little bit of confidence, and they seem to have gained that. I think that they've got that stability in defence now that allows the younger players to really express themselves. So, you know, they're confident in their back four, they're confident of their way to play, and I'm not so sure that we are. And look, if you don't let in goals, then you're more likely to win games. I mean, it's, you know, it's not rocket science. But coming forward to what we're doing, I mean, we need we need 2 or 3 players, and we're not talking about just any player. Let's just get a player just for the sake of getting them now. We need players who are able to create, who are going to have that slight spark. Now, I think what I'm hoping in the back of my mind is that we can pull off somewhere along the line another Kulusevski, Bentancur coup, where all the fans turn around and look at each other and say, who the hell are these guys? And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we end up with 2 world-class players that every club, it would seem, in the world now want. So I can't deny that something like that can happen, but overall my take is that it's a very concerning situation to be in when the board doesn't quite seem to have the confidence in the manager, despite the fact that they have no experience and have no track record of any type of success in running a football club, other than building a magnificent stadium, which, take my hat off to, is a magnificent stadium. It could be converted more into a football stadium for my liking, but still, it is a magnificent stadium. What I think we need, though, is a bit less banter from other fans saying that we don't have many trophies to put in this magnificent stadium. And I don't think any Spurs fan can seriously say that once that question comes up, when we're discussing discussing the club with other supporters, that we're not that little bit ashamed that we just don't have the silverware to adorn what is a great club, a great stadium, and with some great players. And it's quite simply a case of underfunding over so many years of the first team squad. And I don't think I just don't think that there's much of a question anymore to it. So to answer Stel's long question, sorry about the long answer, but
it was justified.
I do have fundamental concerns looking at the bigger, that big picture, and I'm not quite sure that unless we do go out and spend a bit of money here and spend money on the right players, I very much fear that Conte will say, "Do you know what? Hang it. I'm going to go to a club that actually wants success, as opposed to sitting around waiting for you talking about success."
There we go. All right, George. So
thank you, George.
Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Are you going to the Portsmouth game, George?
I am going to try. As you know, sort of things are a little bit tricky for me at the moment. I'm gonna kind of see if I can get to the Portsmouth game. I'm gonna try and get to the New Year's Day game as well. So
hopefully I'll see you at the Portsmouth game. I'm here for the Villa game, but we'll speak very, very soon, George. And have a good night and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Yeah, take care.
Kala Christoyenna.
Episis.
Agreed with whatever you said.
That's Greek Cypriot for leave you out.
Oh, there we go.
I'm joking. I'm joking. It's Merry Christmas.
And Brian, happy Hanukkah as well, yeah?
Thank you very much, kind
Happy
sir.
Hanukkah.
And we'll speak very, very soon. Cheers, George. Right, sir. Love George. Right, before we bring on the next guest, Ryan, we've got a couple of chats to do. First of all, Anvil was sent in a members chat saying, got work, but Merry Christmas. See you on the 26th. Merry Christmas to you, Anvil, and we certainly will.
Big up.
And then we have a super chat from Carl, which is one transfer I think be great. Attacking fit now, especially is Hee Chan Wang of Wolves. Good technical, physical, can play left, right, centre. Young, not regular minutes at Wolves, so the same with Champions League. B upgrades and Son makes Tottenham appeal to him. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are we need to fix the defence and the wing back before we look at any attacking players. I think if we look at attacking players, we're neglecting the problems at Spurs. Although the attack is needing strengthening, tonight we drew because of defensive mistakes. We need a better defence. So
yep, I mean I'm completely with that. I don't want to hear anything apart from defenders. We need open heart surgery at that back line, and that's it may be a good shout. But for me, it is simply defenders. And we'll move on to the next guest, who's part of Tottenham on tour. He's on his break.
Oh, by the way, big up to Ric Flair in the chat. Woo!
So we bring on my good buddy, Mr. Ryan. How are we doing, Ryan, brother?
Absolutely brilliantly. I didn't watch the game because I was obviously I'm at work. So I was listening to you two lose your mind at an amazing defensive display by Davinson Sanchez.
Oh, mate,
Yes.
where to start with him still?
Do you know what worried me about Davinson Sanchez tonight more than anything? There's no pressure on this game. It's literally no one cares about this game. Let's be honest, no one cares. And it's just a chance just to get a run out, some fitness. Show the boss, start me against Brentford. And he gave Conte every reason as to why he shouldn't be at the club. I don't know what more I can say about players at Spurs that just constantly let down any kind of hope that you might want to have for them time and time again. So anyway, look, yeah, Ryan, same old with him.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Like I've said, he seems to come in as a stopgap and then gets worse. But today, even wearing the captain armband, just simple errors, concentration not
First
there,
touch.
anticipation not there. The first touch is like I said, he wears bouncy castles as boots because everything just bounces off of him.
That one moment in the game where the ball's come to him, and he's just the ball's
He went
rolled
under his foot.
Yeah, and you're thinking, there's 7-year-old kids out there learning the game who know what to do.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, what's going to happen when we play an actual competitive game? You know, it's, but look, I don't want to be all negative and harsh on him because that's Sanchez. He's been like that from day one with us, really.
So Ryan, what we will do, because you obviously didn't get to see the game, you're a busy man at work. This is the fan show where the fans have come on to speak about what they want to speak about. I'm guessing where this is going, so I'm queuing it up. What would you possibly want to talk about right now?
Yeah, because I knew you said it during the first half that you were going to be talking all things parasites.
We were going to talk about what the people want to talk about, and you are the people, and that's what you want to talk about. So let's have it.
I think most people want to talk about it, actually, knowing the fact that it's this time of year, transfer windows, will we, won't we, will he sign, won't he sign, how much money, will there be any money? So that's what we all really want to know. And the fact it's taken... Look, for me, I won't be surprised either way, because the fact that I thought, why you bringing in Conte if you're not going to back him? Similar to what Stell's been saying, what's the point in bringing in an elite manager with a proven track record if you're not going to back him? Although Daniel Levy was handcuffed to that basically after the Nuno debacle and Man United at home. We all know how that went. And it's like, it won't surprise me if he doesn't back him, because we've seen this story before. What we know, this defence needs surgery completely, needs to be revamped, bringing in 2 top quality centre backs. We need a right wing back, we need a left wing back.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, when Alfie Devine came on and you two started singing, that did make me laugh.
We've got to. So obviously you're talking about this. That article came out from The Athletic.
Let me ask Ryan the same question I said to George, but in a shorter form.
All right, let me just have a nap. Let me just grab a pillow, hot chocolate. Good night, fellas.
Brace yourselves, people. Right.
By the time he finishes this question, the window would shut.
Yeah, that's it. Gone.
Listen, order a takeaway. By the time I'm done, it'll be delivered. No, in short format. Conte won't sign a new contract unless the club give him assurances that he's going to be backed in his ambitious way. The club aren't going to, in my opinion, spend big money on the players he wants unless he agrees to sign a contract. So we're at a standoff. Now, the question is, given that scenario which we're in, how on earth can we go into the transfer window and properly invest in the squad without this contract being resolved? That's that. You know, what happens in this scenario?
You would hope players that know Conte would still join Conte, based on, even if he's not stuck, because they would know that he's waiting to see who they're going to bring in. So players like Bastoni, they played with him, they know how he works. If he's going to be back, he stays. They know if they bring in that caliber players, he will stay.
But Ryan,
that's the only way I look at it.
But Ryan, there's a problem with that.
It's like playing Russian roulette. Russian roulette with the devil.
There's I agree with that. There's a problem with that though. No player has any guarantee unless Conte signed the contract is the guarantee. That means, look, I'm committed. So I don't understand how we can plan for a transfer window without knowing who the manager's going to be. 1, at the end of the window, and 2, at the end of the season. If I'm a top player and I'm attracted to Conte and Spurs, why am I going to sign a 3-4 year deal if Conte's going to go at the end of May?
There has to be an agreement. What happens if the player signs, Conte signs, and Conte has a shit 6 months and he's sacked? You know, managers have been sacked after bringing in, Coutinho pretty much only joined Villa because of Gerrard. 3 months later, Gerrard's been sacked. So
look at Aubameyang at Chelsea.
Whatever happened to a professional phone call where managers would phone up the players? Like, look, the club's trying to sign you. If you join and we get one, if you join, I'm staying. Because we're not going to go, look, winter window, you're not signing 6 or 7. Unless you're at the bottom and they're loan deals and you're just trying to get yourself out of trouble. All the big clubs are just looking for 1 or 2 just to refresh in the squad. Okay? So, any fans that think we're going to be...
Brian, you've cut off. He's back.
Oh, he's
You're
back. He's
You're
back once again.
I'm back. Yeah, I know. It's the network here. So give me one last chance. If I cut out again, leave me, move on to the next person. You're not going to get 6 or 7 players in this window. You'll get 1 or 2. So one or 2 that Conte wants should be the phone calls Conte should be making to. It's that simple. If I get you 2 in, I will sign. And it's that simple.
Yeah, but Ryan, this is the problem with that. Conte calls those players. Conte hasn't signed the contract. The players still agree to come. But now Daniel Levy says, hold on, I'm not spending big money on these players unless you sign that dotted line, mate, because I'm not going to be lumbered with players and then the next manager doesn't want them, which is what's happened to us the past 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
So
okay.
What happens then?
So you know what it is? Sorry, Ryan, just quickly. I've got to say just quickly.
Three-way transfer announcement.
Well, Ryan, I've just got to say, it's just come to me. Only at Tottenham, like George said, is it the chicken and the egg? But then you can add, is it the carrot and the stick? With the contract,
Russian roulette, Mexican standoff.
Exactly. This is just. What you got to remember, Stel. Sorry, what you got to remember as well is this contract, and this is something I've been highlighting. With this contract, whether it's signed, whether it's not. It's not just about assurances of the players coming in. You've got to think right now, Conte's going to want assurances that Kane's staying. What's Son going to want to do? Hugo Lloris.
Now you're opening up another scenario where if I'm a player coming to Spurs, why am I going to sign for Spurs if Kane's not going to be here?
Exactly.
And the team gets weaker?
Go on, Ryan.
Hugo Lloris is going. We know that. Next season.
Yeah.
Son signed a 5-year deal last summer. Kane signs if Conte signs. It's that simple. And if Kane
agreed.
We'll believe Kane's that kind of power around. Surely he's going to Daniel Levy and saying, back this manager.
I disagree because he wasn't even prepared to put in a transfer request when he wanted out. I don't know if Kane's that kind of guy. I don't know. In fact, I don't really understand Kane's personality that well because if I was Kane, I would have left 2 years ago, like Carrick, Berbatov, Modric, Bale. Kane's a very different proposition. He's a weird one to understand, to be honest with you.
He's too nice.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
He is the perfect definition of Tottenham Hotspur. He's too nice.
This is it. But how do you see, Ryan, final question before we move in. How do you see this all unraveling? Seriously, no messing about. Like, it's February the 1st. We're doing a fan show because February the 1st. I don't want player names or this. Do the club look like they're in a better place and moving forward? Do we look like we're in tatters? Has contracts been signed?
If we don't sign anyone in January, we're reaching the Champions League final because the last window we did not sign anyone was 2018-19.
I told you there's something about this.
I told you. These connections. These connections.
I said there's something happening this year.
Mate, I had cornflakes for breakfast on December the 23rd, and guess what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow? Cornflakes. We're going to the Champions League. Oh, mate. But yeah, Ryan, listen.
Fair play.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us, brother. I will speak to you, or we will speak to you very, very soon. I'll see you very soon, mate, and enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever you're doing.
Yep, cheers.
Merry Christmas, Ryan.
Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah. There we go.
Hanukkah.
So, yeah. So, this one I'm looking forward to. I've been seeing him in chats all day and speaking to him. It's always entertaining. It's always fun. Let's bring on man like Aravind. How are you, brother?
Hello, Aravind.
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good. So before we start, did you get to watch the game?
Yeah, I was watching it.
Okay, so let's start with the game. What was your thoughts?
70 minutes. It was too boring. And especially Davinson Sanchez's performance is horrible. I mean, there was nothing much in the game to even look at, to be really honest. Like, everyone, it was okay. It was like an okay performance. I think just players just getting back into form. That's it. There's nothing much in it.
There we go. Anyone impressed you or showed you something you didn't really see beforehand in that game?
I think so. Brian Hill in the middle was good for parts. Doherty was also good in some of the parts. Yeah, he's just scored the goal, but Well, I think so. It was an average Tottenham performance. We see week in, week out. Nothing much in the game, to be really honest. Any youngsters? Nothing much in the youngsters. Also, Harvey White was also like not that great. Yeah, it was just basic Tottenham Hotspur.
There we go. Sto, you got any questions about the game or?
I would. The one question I would ask is, would you start Brian Hill the next game? Has he shown enough to potentially start, given that Son hasn't had the best of seasons at Spurs so far, and Harry Kane possibly needs a rest? Is Brian Hill? Perisic needs a rest as well, maybe. Does Brian Hill deserve a start, Aravind? Or nah, not for you?
If Kane and Perisic is like not like match fit, then I can see a chance, but I don't think so. Antonio Conte is going to risk it. I think so. When a 20% fit Kane is going to still start against Brentford because it's a crucial match and top four is anyway the priority for Tottenham Hotspur. For not for the fans, but at least for Daniel Levy, that's his priority. So it's not going to. I don't think so. He's going to even get into the look. He may come as a 10 or 15 minutes as a substitute, but I don't see him starting. But I'm not even sure if this manager is going to be that in another 3-4 weeks.
So there we go, Aravind. I'm sure you want to speak about this. What have you been making of? Brace yourself, people. Here we go. Let's. I've been quite refined tonight because we're hosting, so I'm letting other people speak. And Aravind, go for it.
I'm really baffled by what is going on. I thought this Daniel Levy will be having a speech with him in the World Cup time. I don't understand what assurances like what assurances does he want the manager to give. We finished top 4 last season with a shit squad with Dyer and Davis. I don't understand what assurances he wants. And this stupid thing by saying that he doesn't. Oh yeah, he has the money to spend for the stadium facilities, but you're telling me he doesn't have the money to spend for the squad. I seriously don't get it. So I don't understand why people want.
Sorry, Aravind. Sorry to interrupt you, because I think some people might get confused with what you're saying. It's Antonio Conte who wants the assurances, not Daniel Levy. But I understand what you're saying, but some people might think, because you're saying, I don't understand what assurances he wants. It sounds as if that's what Conte's saying, but
yeah, I mean, I just want this club is generating a lot of revenue in terms of profit money. I don't understand why can't the manager come? But regardless of spending the money, the recruitment of this club in the last 10 years has been really awful, and I think so. That's one thing Antonio Conte has been saying in each and every interview. Like we need to spend wisely, in the meaning not the money part, but who we get in. The same this summer, Longley. I don't know why Longley is coming on loan. Why are we spending 60 million on Richarlison? I'm okay with it if you're spending it on a right wing back. And I don't know which right wing back are we scouting right now. I don't understand which centre back are we going to get right now. I don't understand which midfielder we're going to right now. So what's the plan? There's no plan. There's no structure. So
Aravind, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question on that, because this is something that I've heard being spoken about, and it's a valid question. You talk about you don't understand the plan, you don't understand why we spent 60 million on Richarlison, why it wasn't a right wing back, you don't understand why Longley. Surely, if Antonio Conte is staying, which he has so far, he's accepted this. So why hasn't he walked, Aravind? Why hasn't he said, do you know what, I'm not happy with that summer window. That is not good enough. Why is he still here?
I can only think of, I don't think so. This is the reason, but is he just I mean, like if someone is paying you, I don't know how much is being paid. 15 million. I'm not sure money is his main motivation. I just think so. He's just assessing his option. There's not many clubs which is open to get him. So it's like, okay, I'll just get the money and stay here and let's see what happens in January. But I still don't know the answer. Like what was the reason? Was he given some assurances before we signed the players? And we know what Daniel Levy does. He's a liar, right? He may say something with him in private discussions and then does something totally different. So I'm really not sure why is he hanging around, to be really honest. And coming back to Daniel Levy's point, okay, you don't want to spend as big as the other clubs and you have a different philosophy, okay, fine, go ahead with it. Then sack Antonio Conte and get in someone whom you can work with. Why do you want to work with people whom you do want to work with? So I don't get the both the
Well, he
dilemma.
did, but he sacked him as well. His name was Pochettino. he sacked the one guy that actually tolerated this crap, and now they're saying bring him back.
So Aravind, but let me ask you this then. For you, and this is not, forget pipe dreams or whatever, for you to come back on the show February the 1st and say, do you know what? We achieved some success. I'm happy with what happened in January. What needs to happen in January on the pitch and off the pitch to say, do you know what? We tackled this window and optimised everything we could out of it.
The first thing is get the manager thing sorted for first, who's going to stay, and the second thing is getting the players which Conte wants, which is the right wing back. I am pretty sure that's what he wants, and centre back. I don't know the players which he wants which he wants, the top players which he wants in this club. So that's three things that needs to be sorted, and Kane's contract and Antonio Conte's contract. If these four things is being sorted, then I can see there is some hope which can go in the February transfer window. But I don't think so. Any of this thing is going to happen, to be really honest.
That's the thing. What
and
about
one
you?
more thing,
Go
I
on,
would add,
Aravind.
if Mauricio Pochettino comes back to this club, I'm going to call him, you're a fucking idiot. Please don't come back. If Antonio Conte is not going to be back, I don't want his name to be spoiled because I respect him as a manager. I've seen what he can do, and I don't want him. And if he comes back, if I was Mauricio Pochettino and Dan Levy is calling me, I'm going to say, "Fuck off, you idiot," and cutting the call. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what he needs to do, and don't even come back to. No one should work for this liar. He's a big fat liar, and what he did against Poch and I still can't get over what he said in the before we got Nuno. That's stupid statements which he brought in. We're going to play attractive football. We're going to change this.
That was it.
We got all that bullshit, and he's doing all this shit. I don't want him to come back in this club. And to be really honest, I like Spurs, but I want Daniel Levy's reputation to go down after Antonio Conte falls down. I want Kane to leave. I want Kane to come out and just leave. Don't sign the contract. Don't sign the contract.
Aravind, I think it's highly probable that if Conte doesn't sign a new contract, not only will Kane go, but players who don't have an emotional attachment to the club who are good, like Romero, Kulusevski, they'll be looking to manufacture a way out of the club as well. Because if you're a good player and you see the best players leaving, you're not going to
manager.
And the best manager, yeah, absolutely. You're not going to stay. And I even think if Conte doesn't sign a new contract and Kane walks, I don't see Paratici lasting.
No, you're right.
To be really honest, even if Conte signs a contract, I know Conte would want Kane to stay, but for his betterment of his future, it's actually good for him to leave this club by this year. He's getting 29 years old, and if there's any hope for him, for any club to get him, I don't stay with the fact that I'm not sure whether he'll be good in the age of 34 and 35, which is very unlikely for any players to be at the top. It's his prime of his career. It's good for him to leave and get in someone. And even if that's what the thing which I really thought before Antonio Conte and Nuno bought in, I thought Daniel Levy was going to take out Kane and some of the players and bring in a manager to build up a 3-4 year project, which we don't agree with it. But I think so that's the best thing forward for this club. I know Daniel Levy is not going to do that, but that's something which we seriously need to do as a club, is to start from scratch again. I don't see anything.
Aravind, for me, I'll go back to something someone said to me on Monday night. For Kane to win trophies, he doesn't need to leave the club. Daniel Levy needs to leave the club. Yep. And this 3-4 year project, in 3-4 years' time, Newcastle are going to be an absolute animal. Man City are going to be ahead of us. Arsenal will be 3 years into their 6 years into their projects. They started 3 years ago. Man United on the way up. If Spurs start from scratch with a new project, it needs a new board of directors and owners for that project as well, in my opinion. To continue this project, new manager, new project, new scenario with the same people running the show, that's not going to work in my opinion.
But yeah, it's true. But I mean, but this coming to the same thing. But we don't know the plan of this club. So hopefully
There is
something
no
changes
plan.
next season.
There is no plan.
There is no plan. It's hit and
That
hope.
is how
It's hit and
we
hope.
make money.
It is hit
Yeah,
and hope.
but
But Aravind, my man, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you a hell of a lot
Yes.
more. Wishing you and your family happy holidays, happy and healthy New Year.
And happy Christmas to you guys.
Merry
Thank
Christmas,
you
my
very
man.
much, brother. We'll see you soon.
Anyways, leave you out.
Always, always.
Big up, Aravind. Can I quickly go to one comment in the chat?
Of course you can.
Right. Big up to C to the 4th, who says, big up Dulux, who sponsored the paint drying against Nice tonight.
There you go. There you go. Big up the Dulux.
It's Christmas without
Mate,
banter.
Remember your stocking fillers. You can either get Dulux paint, Molten Brown, Dux Mania beds, or now a 4x4.
A 4x4.
A 4x4 and a stocking would be quite a
get here.
Of course.
And Cinch.
Of course. So now we've got
Cadbury's,
our final.
Hugo Boss, and many others.
We've got our final guest.
Big up, Carl. Big up, Carl.
It's me.
Big up,
It's
big up.
KPV. How are we doing, brother?
You saved the best for last.
There we go, brother. How you doing? Did you get to watch the game?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched on Spurs play, and the Irish Catholic can't stop scoring.
He can't, mate. He
The
can't.
Irish
Was you impressed with him overall? Who else impressed you, KPV?
Not just him, but I have to say Kulusevski impressed me. Like I thought he played brilliant, and yeah, tacklers he has, and maybe he should take corners and he should take free kicks. I know Kane's shit. He's only scored.
I'll tell you what, KPV, you're such a big fan of Kulusevski. He could open an envelope and you'd say he did it well. Such as your love for that man and justified. But who else impressed you? Or actually, who were you not impressed with?
Well, people are going to know who I was not impressed with, and that is Patron Sanchez, as Benji would call him. Patron Sanchez. Like, get him out of the club. Get him out. The Colombian, like, he's the reason we haven't won things. And, like, I don't understand why we bought him from Ajax. Like, we bought Ajax players, like, no offense to Toby and Jan, they're probably the best defenders we've had. And Ericsson. Anyone else I missed? Bergwijn, I know we bought from PSV.
Van der Vaart started at Ajax.
Who? Van der Vaart,
Van der
yeah.
Vaart, he started at Ajax. Yeah.
Yeah, Van der Vaart. Like, and I said to you, Brian, early this year that deadline signing will never be beaten. Van der Vaart, I posted on Facebook, and that's never going to be beaten. Like, whoever said it will, you're a dumbass. It's not going to be beaten. He's Tottenham through and through, and maybe bring him back, because he said 2 seasons ago, Mourinho, you got my number, right? Maybe I should bring back the trio. Welch, and you got to love Welch. I was still on Twitter. He's done what Mbappe did, but Crouch said Mbappe is great, but I was doing this shit. Big up, Crouch.
Big time. So, KPV, I'm sure you want to talk about everything that's been happening over the last 24, 48 hours with.
Yeah, the stories coming out The Athletic. A couple of journalists as well, Matt Law, who people say is really credible, saying Spurs won't have much money to spend in January, and Conte won't sign a new contract until he gets assurances from the club, and people in the club are divided whether to keep him or to bring back Poch. There's a lot going on. None of it is. It's not the positive vibes we want to be hearing going into a January transfer window. It's a bit of a downer.
What's your thoughts, Cole?
I don't like it. I don't like that coming out on social media like, oh, Conte's not going to be back. And I hear the staff want Poch to come back. Like, are you taking a piss? He got us to a Champions League final and we were shit. And we conceded that penalty where Sissoko was pointing like, stay back. And hit him here, not on the hand. The referee was shit. And the staff are not happy with Conte. Like, we had Nuno, who we should have had Conte before the start of last season, and he didn't want to come because he said it wasn't the right time. So then he comes in the middle of the season, and Nuno out. We want El Sacco, as people say, and Nuno goes, and
We won
Conte
El
comes
Sacco.
in. That's what. Yeah, everyone said we want El Sacco, and like if Man United lost, they would have got Conte, and we would have kept Nuno, but we should never got that Portuguese guy in the first place. And another Portuguese guy we've had, like Mourinho, I know some fans didn't want him in. I probably didn't. But if Poch comes back, the same can happen again. He's going to get sacked and like he has unfinished business. But I don't want him back.
Carl, can I ask you a question?
Surely.
The reports are that people on the board want Poch back and they want Conte out. But it's the board who effectively would have been involved in deciding that Poch had to go. So there are people at the club who got rid of Poch who now want Poch. How much confidence do you have in the board?
I have no confidence in the board. Like, every club's been appealing against the board. Unlike them lot down Seven Sisters Road, they want the Croncays out, and we want leaving Enoch out. Like, I don't think that's ever been sang at the stadium since that Man United game, and no one's sang it since. Like, we're probably going to be singing it at the home game against Villa, and I bet that'll still be sang. But, like, I don't want Poch back, like Brian said. I don't want him back until Levy's gone. Like, no thanks. I love Poch, what he did. He got us to a UCL final, but Kane wasn't fit. Lucas should have tried, but like, Poch made the wrong decision starting the North London Derby killer. Like, why are you starting?
So, KV, let me ask you the final question. As I've been saying, for January to be deemed as a success for you, what needs to happen?
Like position-wise, I think centre-back needs to happen. Like I know Bastoni didn't want to come. Like, I accept that. He's an Inter fan. Like, get rid of Moon Boot. Like, Elias is saying that he will come good, but it's over for him. Like, I like what he did. Poch was the one who actually signed him, and
Well, he's getting a new contract apparently.
oh, for fuck's sake! Fuck who it's all. And there's rumours going around the fridge. Harry Maguire could join Tottenham. Like, Elias saying him and Eric Dyer would be a great partnership. But I'm sorry, Elias. I've got some bad news for you, mate. Dyer, Toby and Jan was the best partnership. I know when Super Jan left in 2020, Toby and Dyer had a great partnership, but that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, Dyer and Harry Maguire, no thanks. Get someone else in. I don't know if there's any other centre-backs. I don't know if there's any other ones I can think of. Gavardio wants to join Liverpool. Like, he always followed them, so fair play. But, like, Romero, he just won the World Cup. But centre-backs and a goalkeeper need to be addressed. Like, I heard that we want Pickford to replace him, but I know people don't like him. I don't, but he did keep 5 clean sheets at the Euros. But I'd go for Livakovic from Croatia.
Yep. He had a good one. But Carl, listen, always a pleasure. We'll speak again soon. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and have a good one, my friend.
Merry Christmas, Carl.
Yes, mate. And as always, Levy out, KPV, Benji, and Sim and Daigle in.
Big up, Carl. Big up. So that was the fan show, Stel.
Why was I left out? Everyone's in except for
Who knows, Stel? Who knows? I'll bring you in. But what I will say, just the final thing, Ryan just put in the comments that apparently Pele's health has deteriorated quite rapidly, and he's in Christmas and the outcome isn't looking good. So thoughts and prayers for one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Stel, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. The first of many, hopefully, that we do together.
Big up.
Wishing everyone a very, very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you're suffering, celebrating. And what can we say apart from, as always, come on, you Spurs?
I was going to say leave it out.
And you just did.